the January 12th full board agenda for the Single Family Design Board to order, starting with roll call.
Thank you, Vice Chair Sherry. We'll start with roll call. Board Member Graffiti,
Yes.
Board Member Moslehy,
Yes.
Board Member Rolfe,
Yes.
and Vice Chair Sherry.
Yes.
We have quorum. Thank you.
Okay. So moving on to item A, which is the 2026 election of chair and vice chair.
Yes. So, Vice Chair Sherry, since you're still technically the appointed vice chair of this board from last year, acting as chair, and anybody on the board, they can make a nomination for one other person on the board for either the place of chair. I guess we can start with that one first. And after that's decided, we can decide on vice chair. Another way to make the motion is get 2 nominations, and if everybody's in agreement, you can make one motion for both chair and vice chair in one motion if you'd like. So.
I'd like to make a motion to nominate our current vice chair, Dawn Sherry, for chair.
And I'll second that if I can second the motion.
Yeah, I guess.
And do we have a nomination for vice chair?
I would like to nominate Board Member Moslehy for vice chair.
And I'll second that nomination.
All right, perfect. And
Yeah.
perfect. And then, yeah, we'll go ahead and move forward with a roll call with that.
Yes. Thank you. We'll proceed with roll call. Board Member Moslehy,
Yes.
Vice Chair Sherry,
Yes.
Board Member Graffiti,
Yes.
Board Member Rolfe.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion passes.
Congratulations,
All right.
Chair
I don't know whether I should be happy about
and
that.
Vice Chair Mosley. And with that, we'll move on to item B for appointment of consent review representatives. I believe this was emailed to the board already earlier in the year, but I just wanted to post it here again for your review. This is the consent reviewer schedule. If there are any changes to this schedule, please email Mary Ternolskaya. She should be helpful in rearranging whatever assignments are there right now. And yeah, just wanted to make that announcement for item B. And Chair Sherry, if you want to take it away to item C for public comment.
All right, so moving on to item C, which is public comment. Any member of the public may address the board for up to 2 minutes on any subject within its jurisdiction that is not scheduled on this agenda for a public discussion.
Thank you, Chair Sherry. I'll start with in-person public comment. At this time, I do not have any slips for general public comment. If anyone wishes to make a general public comment, they may fill out a slip and bring it to me. We will turn our attention to virtual attendance, and at this time, I do not see any hands raised for general public comment virtually, and we did not receive any written correspondence for general public comment. So at that, I'll turn it back over to you, Chair Sherry.
Okay, thank you. Moving on to item D, approval of the minutes of the Single Family Design Board meeting, the full board meeting of December 15th, 2025. We can move on, I think. Okay. Okay. Now, item 1 would say, and does not impact the neighboring properties, or does not have impacts, one or the other? Do we have a motion for approval?
I'll make a motion to approve the December 15th full board minutes.
I'll second.
Okay, we'll take a vote. Board Member Rolfe?
Yes.
Board Member, Vice Chair Mosley?
Yes.
Chair Sherry?
Yes.
And Board Member Graffiti?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Approval of the minutes of the Single Family Design Board consent meeting of December 8th. Reviewed by me. No, it's postponement. Okay. Review of the minutes of the consent meeting for December 15th. Reviewed by
By me.
you.
Can we go quickly? I think I've reviewed that. Okay. Let's move on. I think both were final approvals. Yes, let's go on. Scroll down, please. Next item. Okay. I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of December 15th consent calendar.
I'll second that. Oh.
Yes, apologies for the interruption. Because we reviewed December 8th and December 15th without making a motion for the 8th.
Okay.
If
We have
Vice
to
Chair
make a motion for a
Mosley could,
postponed meeting?
no, if Vice Chair Mosley could just make a motion combining both the December 8th and December 15th approval of the consent minutes, please.
Sure.
Thank you.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of December 8th and December 15th consent meetings.
I'll second that motion.
Great, we'll take a vote. Vice Chair Mosley?
Yes.
Board Member Rolfe?
Yes.
Chair Sherry?
Abstain. We had an item on that agenda.
All right. And Board Member Graffiti?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Ratification of the action taken on the consent calendar of January 12th.
Sure. So we only had one item. Item A, 1030 Arbolado Road was granted project design and final approval with comments. And that's it.
And we don't make a motion for that.
For the ratification, you do have to make a motion.
We do.
Should be a motion to
Can I have
ratify.
a motion to ratify the action taken for the consent calendar of January 12th?
I'll second that.
No, can I have a motion?
Oh, I'll make the motion to ratify the action taken at consent calendar for January 12th.
I'll second that.
Great, we'll take a vote. Chair Sherry?
Abstain. We had an item on, we were that item.
Okay.
Yeah.
Board Member Gaffieti?
Yes.
Vice Chair Moslahy?
Yes.
Board Member Rolfe?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay, announcements.
My only announcement is welcoming Lauren Rolfe, our newest SFDB member. So glad to have you here, and I'm glad you got sworn in just this morning, right in the nick of time.
Thank you.
Yes, of course. And that is it for announcements.
Except mine, I'm going to be and this is a good segue. I'm going to be recusing myself from the first agenda item because it's one of our projects. So Vice Chair Mosley will be acting chair. for
Great,
this.
thank you.
Okay. That all start first item, 40 Loma Media Road, proposal for a new 1,359 square foot second story, a new 748 square foot three-car attached garage with a partially underground 292 square foot gym understory. New paving is proposed to expand the driveway for the garage along with new exterior stairs and landing. The main residence is proposed with new balconies, windows, and roofing. Oaks and, 3 native cedar trees and 1 black locust tree are proposed for removal, with 3 coastal live oaks and 1 Japanese maple proposed. 1 Chinese elm and 2 pepper trees are to be maintained during construction. The total proposed 506 square feet on a 20,954 square foot lot is 75% of maximum guideline floor area ratio. The project qualifies for an exemption from further environmental review under Section 15301, Existing Facilities of the California Environmental Quality Act, CEQA guidelines. Project design approval is requested. Neighborhood preservation findings and hillside design district and slope lot findings are required. With that, welcome. Please introduce yourself for our records and start your presentation. You have 15 minutes.
Thank you. Good afternoon. My name is Phaedra Gage. I'm with Sherry and Associates Architects, and I'm the project manager for this project. First, I will walk you through the context of the site and surrounding structures, and then I'll take you through what's proposed. So this project site is on the Riviera. It is on a sloped lot between Loma Media Road and Alameda Padre Serra. So I'll just go to a neighborhood map just to give you a feel for where this site is. The project site is in the rectangle, and you'll see the street above and then below. The slope of the lot is about 40%, so it's pretty steep. So this is the existing site plan, and I wanted to walk you through what's there right now. We have a driveway coming down from Loma Media Road, and then there is an existing detached 2-car garage. And then below that, there's an existing single-family residence. And then there's some flat work around the structure. To the east, there is a residential structure, and then to the west, the neighboring structure. And then I'll touch a bit more on that later. And I'll show you some photos of what's out there right now before we get into what's proposed. So the first page here shows photos from the street. The first 5 photos are from the upper street on Loma Media Road. So right here, this is the top of the driveway in photo 1. So looking towards the east, up the street. You can see the vegetation here, which is screening the property from the street. And let me move this over. This is kind of the same view as the first photo. This is looking north at the neighboring residence above. Same with photo 4. Photo number 5 is looking east again, but from further west of the parcel. This is the neighboring parcel, and then you'll see the vegetation there. Photo 6 is looking at a neighbor above. Photo 7 is looking down the street. We're still at the top of the driveway here, but looking down Loma Media, looking up Loma Media. And then this is the neighboring parcel to the east, project site with the vegetation, neighbor above. This is looking directly at the site from Loma Media Road, so you can't really see it from the street. There's pretty tall trees and dense vegetation screening the site. There's a couple gaps in that vegetation which would allow you to see it, which you can see in photo 11 and 12. That's the existing garage. And then photo 13 is looking at a view from below, from Alameda Padre Serra. You can't really see the site from there either. And the next photo page shows some photos of the existing residence. This is the driveway, and the first 3 photos here show the garage. Then there's this 11-foot retaining wall and some stairs that come down and take you to the level of the residence. So you'll see the residence in the rest of the photos here. This is the detached garage on top of that retaining wall, which we're going to be keeping that retaining wall, and I'll get into that a bit later. Here are some more photos of the house, and yeah. So for the proposed scope of work, we are proposing a second-story addition above the residence, and we are proposing a 3-car attached garage at the same level of where it is right now. So that's we're gonna reorient the garage to provide more maneuverability at the top of the motor court. Let me go to the site plan. So the driveway will remain. This red hatched area will be where the motor court expands. And then this is going to be the footprint of the new garage. You can see the rotated footprint of the old garage kind of overlaid right there.
Pardon the interruption, but just through the vice chair to the applicant, it is a touchscreen on that. If you want to zoom in, you can
Oh, great.
pinch
Okay.
like a smartphone, yeah.
Thank you. That's helpful. Okay, so you'll see here, the site plan looks pretty much the same as the existing site plan because our addition is going directly on top of the existing structure. And I will take you through our site sections as well, just to show you kind of some of the sloping context here. So here is a site section. Loma Media Road is way up here. Here's our 30-foot height limit, and then Alameda Padre Serra is way down here. So we're proposing shed roof and a flat roof for the addition. All of our site sections kind of just go as you go along through the site, demonstrating the 30-foot height limit. And this one goes through the garage, the attachment, and then the residence. So this is a really good demonstration of how the project is tucked into the hillside, and the grade at Loma Media Road is above the top of the roof. So this addition and garage still won't really be seen from the street. A couple more site sections here. This one shows with the red dashed line where the existing garage is and then where the new garage would be. And then we have a couple east-west site sections as well. Okay, so I will take you through some of the floor plans just really quickly. so that you can see what we're dealing with here. This is the existing floor plan and the existing roof plan. Then our proposed floor plan, you'll see that retaining wall that I showed you in the photos. We're keeping that, and then with the rotated garage, we're going to be putting an understory gym, but not doing a new retaining wall or affecting any of the grading. This is the second story plan, which is going to line up with the garage. It'll be a few steps difference. And we're proposing a 3-car garage because the client has some vintage cars. So we're going to be doing kind of a gallery style walkway as you come towards the house with some big windows into the garage. Roof plan, and then here are our elevations. So we have the existing and proposed on the same sheet so that you can kind of have a quick reference to see what it looked like and then what it would look like. So here's the north elevation, existing and proposed. We're proposing 9'3" plate heights at the first floor, and then 8'6" plate height at the back of the second floor. And the garage would have a 10-foot plate height to allow for a 9-foot garage door. For this, the client has a Sprinter van, so it needs to fit in there. Here's the south elevation, existing and proposed. We have some elements here to break up the massing, some balconies, and then some flat roofs. And I did want to point out, so the style of the existing house has some mid-century modern elements with transom windows and flat roofs and large expanses of glass. So we're kind of taking that and keeping the same style with the proposed addition. Here is the east elevation, existing and proposed. So you can see now the garage will be kind of parallel with the house instead of at a weird angle. And we have the addition stacked on top of the existing, some new stairs with metal cable railings. And this is the proposed west elevation and existing. There's those stairs that I mentioned we'd be removing, but we are going to be keeping that retaining wall and building the new gym around it. And I wanted to touch on this west elevation a little bit because I know there's some concerns from the neighbors about privacy and screening. I didn't have a chance to submit this before the hearing, but I have a photo. We went up on the roof. There's a few things.
You can have this on the screen.
Okay. So we went up on the roof of the existing house just to check how tall the trees are and how well it would screen the windows from the new bedroom to the neighbor to the west. And you can see the man standing on the roof is 6'2", and then the trees are still taller than him. You can't really see the house next door, but the footprint of the house is lining pretty closely up with our proposed addition. And I can just show you that on the site plan.
We go back to the.
So this is what I'm talking about right here. This is the neighboring residence, and this is our proposed bedroom with the windows looking here. And I know there were some concerns, but we just wanted to assure the neighbor that the dense vegetation along this property line will adequately screen the proposed addition. Okay, and sorry,
You have 3 minutes.
Okay.
I want to touch base on.
Yes, let me take you to the rendering sheet really quickly. This is a better, gives you a better idea of what we're proposing in terms of materials and mass. This kind of some shots flying around the project. This one, number 4, demonstrates kind of how diminutive it looks from the street above. And I will quickly touch on the landscape plan because there's not much changing. There's a lot of dense vegetation on site. We're removing 3 cedar trees that are right up against the house and 1 black locust tree. And so we're going to be proposing 3 new oaks, which are shown in green, and a Japanese maple. Other than that, we won't be changing any of the landscaping. And then we have a color of materials board that we put together just to show some of the materials we're proposing. Board formed concrete at the base of the house, a standing seam metal roof, T&G at the underside of the eaves, and then a taupe gray for the smooth plaster walls. These materials are pretty organic and natural, looking to blend into the hillside. And we're proposing a metal wall cladding at the stair, and then minimal frame profile for the windows and doors. Okay, and that's everything, so thank you for listening.
Thank you.
Thank you. With that, we have to go to the public comment, please.
Yes, thank you, Vice Chair Mosley. I'll start with in-person public comment. At this time, I do have several slips for public comment. So if each of you will approach the podium, you will each have 2 minutes to speak. We will start with Agatha Louis. Please approach the podium. Can I have Norman? Oh, no, okay. We'll have Norman Louis go first.
Hi, how are you?
Hi, please state your name and your address, and you have 2 minutes.
Okay. Norman Louis, 36 Loma Media Road, west end of the project. I like to suggest story poles because, when you look at it, I don't know whatever it says on there. I'd rather see it on the poles, if you don't mind putting them up there. And then, the whole thing is, for me, my personal thing is the privacy of the windows, because the way it is like that, it could possibly look into our living room, family room, and our balcony. So I like to either move it or delete it. And then the trees that they have, that's our borderline, because our properties are very close together. So, but the trees are on his side of the property. So I would like somehow to make sure that those trees are never removed. And then also is the, I'm concerned about our driveway, top of the driveway, because next to our property, at the top of his driveway and next to our property is probably about a 30-foot drop. There's no fence, there's no nothing there. And so I don't know what he's going to do about the driveway around there, but something has to be there. I'm just surprised no one has fallen down there yet. And then also is that if the project has been approved, there will be heavy trucks, because going up and down his driveway is the only way, because there's no street parking unless they park it about a block or a half a block away. So I would like, if the project has been approved, I would like somebody from the city to see if it's stable enough for the trucks to go down, up and down, because right next to the top of it is our sandstone wall. And I don't know what's behind it. So that's just for a safety concern.
Thank you. Your time is up.
Okay, one more. And then the drainage. I don't know which way the drainage is going, but hopefully it's not toward our property.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Next, we'll have Agatha Louis.
Good afternoon. My
And
name
pull
is
the mic.
Agatha Louis. I
Ms. Louis,
live.
pull the mic
Oh.
down. Thank you.
Sorry. My name is Agatha Louis from 36 Loma Media Road. And my comment, I'm going to read it out on my letter here. So, Santa Barbara Commission Development Committee. My name is Agatha. We have lived here since the 70s. We recovered from the Riviera Fire, T Fire, Chetasula Fire, Thomas Fire, Cave Fire. We've also experienced floods, debris flow, and cars and debris carried down the hill like raging water to the Loma Media Park stone wall. That is Mother Nature unavoidable events. While the developer investors are capitalized in housing market in Santa Barbara, this is our home. We want to preserve our privacy panoramic view, Santa Barbara, for generations to come. We have a fourth generation back here. This proposal is extremely aggressive in my eyes. The massive size, style goes against the neighborhood compatibility. Homes that were built in integrity with one thing in mind, privacy where no one does take away any of your view. I'm extremely concerned the proposed development excessive mass, bulk, and scale setback, and to the distance, the new project structure height, part of the structure sitting on greater than 30% slope. I am very concerned. Any major constructions to this hillside, it's an aggressive development. I'm concerned that any constructions movement to the existing proposed development, like the driveway retaining wall structure, can cause damage to our retaining walls and home. This project went from 1,771 square foot to 3,935 square foot, that's gross value, and the difference is 2,164 square foot. You're like putting two homes into one existing structure. And I call that aggressive is only because it ultimately affects all the adjacent property, including properties, homes like myself, below APS. If the project goes through, you will set a precedent to allow massive developments in the neighborhood with no regards to the neighbor's rights to privacy or blockage of view. Having said that, item number 6, or at the bottom there where you insert those pictures, some of those vegetation are ours on our side. We have yet trimmed those property only because it's winter. So having that removed and trimmed, you will see my living room and my balcony. So extra parking space, additional parking space, carry weights. That weights endanger the hillside. I do not want to experience landslide like 1037 Los Torres Road, if we all remember that house was sliding down. Having said that, I do not want to experience in my house and the master bedroom window and balcony is not acceptable in my view because it's seeing through my living room and my balcony view.
Ms. Louie, your time is up.
Okay.
Thank you
Just
so
having
much.
that aerial view, you would see the difference. So the reason why my comments at the ending, I would like to reinstate my opening comments is that
Thank you so
while
much. Your
those are-
time is out.
thank
can
you so
send-
much. We would like to have no avoidable incident.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Ms. Garrick, please approach the podium. You will have 2 minutes to speak.
Good afternoon. My name is Nicole, and I, along with my husband and son, also live at 36 Loma Media Road. I'm here today to formally express my opposition to the proposed expansion of 40 Loma Media Road. While I respect a homeowner's right to improve their property, this specific project introduces significant risks to the safety, character, and the daily life of our immediate area. We have many concerns, starting with the physical safety of our properties. We live on a sensitive hillside where stability is everything. I have yet to see comprehensive data on how this expansion will impact the soil and existing retaining walls that protect my home. Question, what specific engineering work has been done to ensure that the increased load of this expansion will not compromise the hillside or our shared structural supports? Secondly, the proposed second floor addition is a significant departure from the current footprint. It threatens the privacy of my home and will likely obstruct longstanding views that define our neighborhood. And due to all respect, plants can be trimmed, trees can be cut down. So with all that, if we decide to cut the trees or vice versa, you will see each other's property. So plants can always be removed, buildings cannot be removed. I formally request the installation of story poles. We cannot accurately judge the height and the mass of this project through 2D drawings alone or a picture. We need a physical representation to understand the true impact on our privacy. Since 2002, this property has been used consistently as a rental. While I understand the need for housing, this specific property has a history of over-occupancy, often housing more people than there are bedrooms. This has led to chronic parking issues, including vehicles blocking my own driveway, noise disturbances, and safety concerns, including a past incident where a renter's dog attacked my own. Is this expansion intended to be a single-family home, or is it being built to increase the rental property capacity, I should say? Given the history of the property, adding more square footage suggests an intensification of these existing problems. Finally,
Ms. Garrick, your time is up. Christopher Garrick, if you'd like to continue. Yes, you will not be speaking, though. Okay, you have another 2 minutes. Go ahead, Ms. Garrick.
Finally, as someone who works remotely, the construction phase poses a direct threat to my livelihood. Beyond the obvious noise of major hillside build, I am deeply concerned about the potential for utility interruptions. Any loss of power or internet access due to construction would be catastrophic for my ability to perform my job. Furthermore, this is not just a matter of professional inconvenience. I have a newborn baby at home. Major construction on a hillside involves heavy machinery and significant dust and debris. The environment is not just loud, it is disruptive to the sleep, development, and the health of an infant. Constant noise at the decibel levels required for an expansion of this scale is incompatible with a home where a child is napping and growing. I have serious concerns about how the air quality and the relentless noise will affect my child's well-being over the many months or years this project is expected to last. Because of the technical unknowns regarding the hillside, the history of the property as a problematic rental, and the impact on our privacy, I ask that this board deny or significantly scale back this proposal. At the very least, no decision should be made until story poles are erected and a full structural impact study is shared with the neighbors. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you.
Thank you. And we did, at this time, I do not have any further slips on this item. If anyone else wishes to make a comment, they may fill one out and bring it to me. Okay, we will now turn our attention to virtual attendance. And at this time, I do not see any hands raised virtually for this item and project. And we did receive a written correspondence from a Miss Helen Troiano on this project. And at that, I will turn it back over to you, Chair Moslehi. Vice Chair Moslehi.
Thank you so much. Okay, with that, let's start. Any question from the board members? Board Member Graffiti.
Sure. I have a few questions. Let's see, where do I want to start? I just want to confirm the locations of the trees to remove. The cedars are close to where the current garage is, or I guess proposed garage. There are no trees to be removed, proposed to be removed along the west elevation.
Correct.
Okay. Why don't you just pull up the...
Can you turn on your
Oh,
mic, please?
Thank you, Vice Chair.
Yes, that's correct. The only trees proposed to be removed are directly against the house, not along the property line. So you can see them with little X. Oh, sorry, I keep forgetting this is a touch screen.
Okay.
You can see them here with an X right against the house.
Okay.
And then the fourth one being removed is up above here on the garage
Okay.
footprint.
Yep.
So nothing along the property lines would be removed.
And then I know the second story is above the existing the existing first story. How far is the existing first story from the property line? Like, what's the edge on the west
Let me go to the site plan.
neighboring property? So there's a 10-foot required
10-foot
setback,
required. I
and then
don't-
beyond that, it looks like maybe 15.
Yeah, so it's probably about 25, 26 feet from the property line. We can make sure to add that
Okay.
proposed setback or existing /
Okay.
proposed on the next round.
Okay. And then, do you know what, I know this came up in public comment, do you know what is, it looks like there's a close building on the other side of the property line. It sounds like it might be like a living room and a deck. Do you have any context to what part of the structure is on the other side? I just see neighbor's house.
Of,
No.
of the neighbor?
Yeah.
Yes, actually, one of those pictures I brought is, it's an aerial image of the GIS from the city's GIS. So it kind of shows a little bit better of
City TV, can you please zoom in on the counter?
what we're looking at. So it's the red clay tile roof right beside. Here. Yeah, so that's, it doesn't line up exactly with our residence. So our project is a little bit further south than the red clay tile roof. So those windows that are of concern in the upper level bedroom look, I guess if you looked north, west, then you would be looking at the house.
Back up towards the mountain.
Through the trees, yeah. But if you're looking directly east, you
Okay.
you wouldn't see that.
Okay. And then,
Thank you.
do you have any, I know you had photos at the beginning of your presentation just taken from the site and different angles of the site. Do you have any neighborhood context photos from further down the street, especially considering if there are neighbors on Loma Media Road and on that side of the road that have second stories or similar heights to what you're proposing for your project?
Yeah, there were a few kind of looking up and down Loma Media Road. There are a couple two-story houses up there, but we didn't do a comprehensive study of
Okay.
the street to gather that data. So this one is directly above. It's a two-story. This is a good photo to show it. It shows two of the residences above, both two stories.
Okay.
And then we'd be happy to provide that
Okay.
if you'd like on the next round.
I know in the renderings it shows kind of a starker contrast between the board form concrete on the bottom story versus the plaster. I think that's more on the second story. But in the materials page, it looks like, you know, maybe just different tones, but similar saturation, I guess if you would call it. Is the intention that there's a lighter on top and darker on bottom, or is the intention more blending kind of a more similar color just at a different material? The design intention.
Yeah, the renderings aren't accurately showing that taupe gray plaster that we were proposing.
Okay.
It might, I think it's
And
just
then
kind
for
of
the
a.
concrete, it looks darker, but I don't know if that's because it's showing in the shade.
Yeah, I think I would focus more on what the color and materials board
Okay.
is showing, that contrast between the two materials,
Okay.
as opposed to the renderings, because I think it's kind of just like the export settings on here.
Okay. And then for the decking material and color, that looks like a lighter shade. Can you go back to maybe the materials board would be helpful?
Yeah, it's kind of the same taupey gray as the
Okay.
walls.
Okay. And then how big is the deck? Square footage wise?
I'm not sure if we have that broken out separately. Let's see.
Or maybe even if you would, I'm just trying to understand what the,
So the south balcony, the one
Yeah.
facing, that would be 407 square feet.
can you go to the elevation that has those balconies?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's 400, okay, and that's all joined in the second story, so all of those bedroom, I forget exactly what's in that, what program you have on the second story, but that's all one long balcony.
This
Okay.
one between grid line A and H.
Yeah.
That's one long balcony
Okay.
along
And-
the front.
And then on the back of the garage,
That is a walkway that goes between H and J. It's a balcony. And I can just go back to the floor plan really quick to show you.
yeah, that's helpful, actually, thanks.
So between H and J, you can see that little balcony on the front of the garage, and then between A and H on the house.
Okay. And your house is around 25 feet already from the west elevation, so we know we're further than 15 feet for sure on that side, and then definitely 15 feet, okay. And then, let's see, sorry, I have just a few clarifying questions. Great low pine roof. I don't know if we want to get into this yet, and I want to keep it in questions, but I wasn't sure. I know there's a lot that came up in public comment, so I know in general we're an aesthetic design board, so there's a lot that comes up around construction and how construction works. That's not in our purview, but you can definitely ask questions to staff about that. But I know there were questions around drainage and other things. I don't know if you want an opportunity just to respond to some of the items that might not necessarily be in our purview for that. It's going to happen in the process, but we're not necessarily asking as many questions about how water treatment and drainage and all of that is being solved.
Absolutely. So how it works right now, we are a tier 3 project with the Creeks Department, which means we're within a certain threshold of square footage that's going to be replaced or new, that's impervious. So we'll be treating all of the stormwater on the site a certain way to the city's standards for what meets a tier 3 project. And we have a civil engineer retained. They haven't started on it yet because we're not in that phase of the project yet. So as we move into design development and construction documents, the civil engineer would take a comprehensive look at the site and put together their design for how they're going to treat the flow of the water on the site and the runoff, and maintaining existing drainage patterns. And we do have a soils report already, and the foundations of the structure will be underpinned with caissons. So those are deep foundations that will go into the bedrock, so it will be very stable. And structurally, we also have a structural engineer retained who will be designing this structure to meet code. And so there would be 3 professionals involved in ensuring the stability of the site and the structure: geotechnical engineer, civil engineer, and structural.
Great, that's all my questions for now. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Board Member Rolfe,
Oh,
any questions?
Yeah, there's just one. There is a public comment about a steep drop off for the driveway
Can
that's
you
existing.
turn on your
Oh.
mic, please?
Oh, sure. This one?
Oh, perfect. Yep.
Oh,
we
sorry
hear you
about
now.
that.
Yeah, if you could repeat your question one more time, thanks.
There was a public comment about safeguards or the being steep off of the driveway, but it's actually more of a question for you. If it's existing, then it's just existing to remain, I would assume. So, but, do you know what that condition is like, or do you mind talking to me about that?
Yeah, of course. I think we might have a photo. Let's see. Okay. This photo is kind of showing it. That white car that's parked there, that's the top of the driveway. And then there's a hedge right now, but if that hedge wasn't there, it drops off.
Oh, okay.
I think this wall continues.
Okay.
So this is the neighboring property who had the concern, and then this hedge, I think this is what they meant, is that there should be a guardrail there.
Okay. Thank you.
In front of the hedge toward his driveway, there's a big empty space there.
Okay. I think the drop-off is occurring where the hedge is, though, so.
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks.
That's all.
Okay.
Thank you. I have a couple of questions as well. One of them, if you go back to your material palette, please. Is the standing seam metal roof proposed to be like dark brown? And the metal cladding that is proposed is the same color?
Yeah, it's kind of like a charcoal gray, is what we're proposing at the moment. We don't have an exact specification yet for those, but this is kind of just a preliminary glance at the palette.
does it have any reflection, or it's like the proposed is matte?
It's matte.
Matte.
Yeah.
Okay. And can you go to one of the elevation, probably south elevation will be good to see the clear story windows?
Yes.
Yeah.
This one?
Yes. The massing that is above the garage, what's the distance between those windows? What's the wall that we're seeing? Is it like a 6-inch or more?
We probably gave it 5 to 6 inches.
Okay.
At the moment, that's probably what you're seeing.
Okay.
Yeah.
And can we look at the west elevation, which is facing the neighbor to the west? And can you run us through the program behind the windows of the second story, please?
Yeah, absolutely. So the window in the center, adjacent to grid line 4, that's as you come down the hallway into the master bedroom, it lines up with the hallway. So you come into the bedroom and you have a view of vegetation. And then the other one would be on the other side of probably the bed wall. So I can show you the floor plan too. And,
If it shows on the renders as well, that will be helpful
oh, yeah,
for the neighbors to understand
yeah.
if you have an angle from that side.
The trees aren't really shown properly in this, otherwise you wouldn't be able to see the house, and we kind of wanted to show the house, but this is the rendering. And then one other thing, sorry, I didn't email this beforehand, but we took that elevation and overlaid where the roof was, if you can show that, the current roof line, and then the 6'2" person standing there, kind of with that photo I showed earlier. And then the trees extending above where his head was. And then the window would be kind of, the header height of the window is pretty much where his head is. So in the photo, you can see that the trees were above his head.
And can you clarify on a site plan or any plan that shows which trees are in the neighbor's property and which trees are in your property?
Yes. We don't have the neighbor's trees on our plan because we didn't go onto their property to document those, but this is our landscape plan. So the existing trees are shown here. There's a pepper tree about 15 feet high, another pepper tree about 20 feet high, Chinese elm about 16 feet high, and then a loquat tree. And I believe the pepper trees are evergreens, so those wouldn't lose their leaves in the winter. Same with the loquat. Chinese elm, I believe, is deciduous. And then there's a lot of shrubs as well in between all of these trees. And so that's just the ones that are on our property. And if there's more on the neighbor's property, that's helpful.
And if I'm correct, those two windows on the west side is behind this pepper trees.
Yeah, so
Facing
can you
those.
see my cursor? It's right about here is one of them,
Yes.
and the other one's right about there.
Okay, thank you. I believe that was all my questions, and now we can move on to comments. Yeah, please. Go ahead.
Okay. I think there's a lot of positive things about this project. I think given that the existing house is already over, I would say approximately 25 feet from the property line, I mean, it's well beyond the 10-foot setback. And just given the way that you've cited the windows, given the existing vegetation, I know there's a lot of concerns from the neighbors about privacy, but I think there's a lot going on to help resolve that. And again, it is 25 or maybe even more feet from the property line, but it'd be helpful to have that number. In terms of materials, it sounds like we have a general idea, and there's a lot of natural colors, which is great, but would be good to get exactly nailed down what the roof is and the exact paint colors and things like that. And intention with the concrete and plaster is more meant to kind of blend, or if that's going to be a higher contrast. For me, the one thing that I would like to understand more of is just context for a house this tall in the neighborhood, just because typically we recommend 25 feet or under max height, although the maximum is 30 feet. At 27.8, you're kind of pushing it in between, and because the ridge line is horizontal especially, that's going to represent the entire height of that second story ridge line. So even though it is below Loma Media, I believe, road, and it shouldn't impact public views from above, it would just be helpful to understand from below, how does that house present in the hillside and how does it blend? And I think for me, understanding the other houses on the street, it was helpful just looking across the street to look up, but also on the same side of the street as you continue on that road. Are there any other second story houses, and kind of what are those footprints and especially height? So I don't know if there's a certain material that we want to ask for like a streetscape or study. I know there's public comment about story poles. I know that's not required because it's not a required FAR and at 75% of the maximum guideline, but things that we can ask for if anyone else is curious about that too. So that's the one component for me, just understanding in this neighborhood, and just as you zoom out just on that portion of the hillside, what is everyone else around you and how would this blend? And materials is part of that. Looks like we're going pretty natural in the colors, so that's helpful. But yeah, other than that, I think that's it for me, and continue to work with the neighbors. I know there's a lot of questions, but of course we have protocols in terms of structural and water and all of that that you guys have to follow. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any comment, Board Member Rolfe?
Oh, sure. I just wanted to compliment you. I think the architecture is very contextual, and I like the roof lines, and I like how in the middle it's flat, and the composition is really nice. And so I like how I feel like the height of the building is contextual too, where you can't really see it from the top street. Let's see. I think the window placements in that one side, or that we were talking about, to me it looks fine, but the existing pepper trees are 15 to 20 feet high. I think story poles might be a good idea, though, just to double check. And I really like the materials you use. I like how the concrete really grounds it and ties into the existing stone wall. I really like that. And I also like how the design of the garage is integrated with the main house. I think that looks really nice. I think that's all my comments. Oh, actually, I do, and I also do appreciate how the architecture. I drove up there and I saw that there's some architecture that's similar nearby, and I also like how you took inspiration from what's already there. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. Yeah, I think given the existing house and how it's located on the site, the way that the proposed project is locating the second story is way more than we usually see from the property line, and the way that the composition of the roof, like it's flat and it's not a additional gable roof that makes it more extensive massing from the street above and street below. So it's a process that it's making it a little bit more modest to the hillside. And I appreciate the material palette, as was mentioned. I think, yeah, it would be great for us to see next time a little bit more clarified renderings, and or maybe the material palette is selected with materials that are real. So we'll understand if it's like more muted or it's more contrast. I think that would be helpful to have a streetscape study. Given the drop of the elevation of the house, I don't think from Loma Street you'll see anything, but it might be a good idea to have a streetscape maybe from the street below to see the existing situation, and with the second story proposal, how it will affect the hillside. And that will be really helpful. And if a study of other houses in the surrounding neighborhood with the same style and second stories, that will be helpful to support your neighborhood studies as well. And I think there's still room to study the window configurations and the size of the windows and how they act towards each other. I'm sure it's still like in concept phase and it will progress. And the other thing is, I think next time we'll see a landscape plan. And I know that you mentioned that there's no proposed landscape, but are you guys thinking of having a landscape architect on the project and propose how to maintain the existing landscape?
We do have a landscape plan. It's just because the landscaping that we're proposing is so minimal, it's just going to
Okay.
be removing 4 trees and then replacing them at a 1-to-1 ratio, so 4 new trees. At this point, we aren't getting a landscape architect on board, but we do have like tree protection measures on here for the trees that are close to the house to
Okay.
protect those.
That's great. And I think that's it. And I'm ready to make a motion.
Up for discussion?
Yes.
Just as we've talked about, I don't know if in your comments I missed it, but I know you discussed having some context photos from the street below Loma Media. I don't know if we have a specific ask for them. I know something else that's been helpful in the past is even just drone footage kind of through the air, but I don't know if you have a specific.
Whatever is it's easier for the applicant to provide, that it's visible, because I don't think from Loma Street, if you have a streetscape, like a flat elevation, it won't show it anything. So if it's a drone, if it's a video, that's
What's
helpful.
the other street? What's the street below it? I know you're looking
The
at it on your
street
computer right now.
below, let me just.
It's, it is APS. It's
Okay.
APS, of course, yeah.
Yeah, because that's where the public view is.
Yeah.
Like, or the view towards the hillside. So that's the only, like, if they do from Loma Street, we won't see anything.
Right, so do we want to give specifics on how many houses or what we want them to come back with?
Yeah, I think like if it's just from the Loma Street and the street below and just like 20 houses, closest ones, that would be perfect. Like the better, if,
What are you looking at it on?
Yeah,
So there,
okay.
it looks like there's one property, which
one.
are the neighbors that spoke, and then maybe it divides into 2. So maybe we can count how many houses on the right side, down, 1, 2, and that's up, but, so those houses on, I think it's just good so that they can come back and know exactly what we're asking for.
do you have a zoomed out site plan here, or I can show you here?
I may be able to bring up something. Hold on, let me see.
Okay, that would be perfect.
I think at least minimum of the 5 houses to the east of the subject site on APS.
From below.
From below. And if there are other parcels that you think on a similar street, you know, in that neighborhood that can also provide context, of course, all of that is helpful. But I think for us to just give you a minimum,
So looking at this map,
Yes.
you can see some of the parcels out
yeah,
here. I know you want to do it.
exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, I think like at least 5 on the east. And as I'm seeing on the Google Earth, some houses on the north side of Loma Media as well, there are like two-story houses that can be good examples of like the neighborhood context and what you're proposing. Okay. Then I'm ready to make a motion, and if there's anything for discussion, just please bring it up. I move to continue the project indefinitely to the full board with the following comments. The applicant to progress their material palette and renderings to clarify the intended color palette. The applicant to provide a streetscape from the street below or a drone video, and to minimum 5 houses to the east and any other neighboring houses on Loma Media Drive that clarifies the 2-story neighboring context. The applicant to study the window configurations and sizes. And question to the applicant, if there is no dimensions on the existing site plan and site plan to the neighboring houses, clarify, can we add this as well? Clarify the dimensions from the existing house to the neighbor to the east and west on the existing site plan and the proposed site plan, and also clarify the 2nd-story distances as well. Any other items? Any other items?
Nope.
That was
Thank
it
you.
for me. I will second that motion.
Okay, we will take a vote. Board Member Rolfe,
Yes.
Board Member Graffiti,
Yes.
Vice Chair Mosley,
Yes.
motion passes.
Thank you.
Thanks for your time.
Thank you. With that, we'll move on to item 8.
Thank you.
Somebody want to grab Sherry from our side?
She might if she's got. Here, I'll
You can, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we're going to wait another minute or two to get Chair Sherry in here. So,
Sounds good.
yeah.
Hi.
All right. I'm going to go ahead and start reading the scope of work into the record. So we're here for item 2, Mountain Avenue. This is a continued project here for final approval. New 1,897 square foot 2-story home with an attached 538 square foot 2-car garage on a vacant parcel is proposed, along with landscaping and site work. 5 mature trees, including a coastal live oak and black walnut tree, are proposed for removal, with 3 replacement trees proposed. A driveway entrance is proposed to the adjoining property at 1911 Mountain Avenue Drive. A future 731 square foot ADU and attached 249 square foot garage is not under purview of the board. The total proposed 2,435 square feet on a 7,638 square foot lot is 83% of the maximum required floor area ratio. And final approval is requested, and the project was last heard on October the 6th of 2025.
Yeah, it's up to you. Name for the record.
Hi, Jarrett Gorin from Vanguard Planning.
Sergio Ormachea with Vanguard Planning.
Chantal Vo with Listol Design Studio.
Do we want to pull up the minutes from the last hearing and go through the?
Yeah,
You're
We
in
can.
control.
All right. So
driving now.
Sergio's just going to go through these and just show you how we responded to everything because we're down to some pretty minor stuff here.
Yeah. So we should go and then go to the sheets one by one. Is that
Yeah,
how
it's a
you
great
prefer
idea.
it? Okay.
Just one by one, go through the
So
minutes.
do the minutes, show them on the sheets.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that sounds
Okay.
great.
We'll do it that way.
Okay. So we'll start with number one, the board and batten, how it connects to the horizontal band. If we go to the plans, A218. It's an elevation. We're going to go right here. Previously, we were asked to incorporate the horizontal all throughout. We did that, and that's basically pretty standard for board and batten for the flashing and things like that. If we go to minute number 2, study the color of the window trim. We'll go to the material board for that. Okay, previously the trim was black, and we painted it, or making it white, similar to the board and batten, and it's a lot better this time around. It's previously looked like a black eye, but now it's better. So, number 3, the garage door. Yep. So again, we'll go to the material board. It's matching the same dark stain as the wood trellis in the rear, and also in the front. You have a little bit of exposed timber there, also stained the same black. Dark stain. You can see here. Where are we at? 4, selecting a roofing material at the entrance. So for that, we'll go to the second floor plan. Looking down. Previously, we had, I think, standing metal seam there. Now it's just composite shingle roofing, the same as everywhere else. So it's kind of consistent. And we'll see it also in the render, and we'll end at the render after we go through this. But let's see, what's number 5? Provide a drawing of the rear guardrail. Okay. A31. Here we go. So in the rear, this is basically the, as much as we could open it up, it's 4 inches max clear, and it's 2 by 1 steel bar stock, spaced 4 feet apart, and that's pretty much that. It's very transparent above the retaining wall that you can see here. And that's it. I'll stop at the render kind of just so you could get a little bit of, again, that's the rail, fully transparent, trellises, horizontal bands, and yeah, that's it. And I'll stop it there.
Does that conclude your presentation?
That concludes our presentation.
That concludes the presentation.
Okay, we'll move on to public comment.
Thank you, Chair Sherry. I'll start with in-person public comment. At this time, I do not have any slips for this particular project. However, if anyone wishes to make a comment on that, they may phone out and bring it to me. I see no one in the audience moving to do so. So we will now turn our attention to virtual attendance. And at this time, I do not see a hand raised for public comment on this project. And we did not receive any written correspondence for this project. So at that, I'll turn it back over to you, Chair Sherry.
All right, thank you. Questions from the board? Board Member Graffiti.
I just wanted to see if there were any other changes made besides what you just covered from our previous minutes.
No, the only thing we've worked on was stormwater, but that's more of drainage
Okay,
issues.
but no
nothing
changes to
that's-
floor plan or anything like that?
Correct.
Okay. Great. That's it.
I have no questions. Board Member Roth?
Oh, I was just checking if the stain of the fence matches the garage door next to it.
No, the fence is a lighter stain. It's different so that the garage matches the wood trellis is standalone and the fence is something else.
All right, comments?
I'm happy to start us off.
Yeah.
I think a lot of great improvements have been made on this, and I'm happy to be supportive of final approval.
Okay.
And the same, I think the project has come a far way, and thanks for listening to us. And
far away.
Yeah, and it's all the comments were responded, and I think now with the same roofing material, like one stain of the wood, and I love that you guys changed the trim of the windows to match the white, because it was like off. Yeah, so I think it's going to be a great additional housing to our town.
Oh,
Board Member Roth.
okay, thank you. You have a nice material palette, and I also appreciate how far the second floor is from the property lines.
All right, I don't have any additional comments. I agree with all the previous comments, and I would entertain a motion for final approval.
All right, I'm happy to move it along. So I will make a motion to grant final approval as the plans substantially conform to the plans that received project design approval on October 6, 2025.
I'll second that motion.
Okay.
Great, we will take a vote. Vice Chair Moslehy,
Yes.
Board Member Rolfe,
Yes.
Board Member Graffitti,
Yes.
Chair Sherry,
Yes.
motion passes.
Great. Thank you all. And just to announce the appeal period for this project for the applicant team if they choose to submit one. But if we don't get anything, you guys are more than willing to submit to building and safety. I think you guys are already in there, but all right, perfect.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Okay, we kind of caught up. Thank you, everyone. Moving on to item 3, which is 945 Coyote Road. This is a continued item for concept review, a proposal for a new 4,446 square foot two-story home on a vacant lot with a one-story detached 760 square foot accessory dwelling unit and attached 414 square foot two-car garage. The ADU is not under purview of the board. A new pool, spa, and tree plantings are proposed. 10 trees are proposed for removal, 3 live oaks, coastal live oaks, proposed for relocation. The total proposed 5,620 square feet on a 95,832 square foot lot is 100% of the maximum guideline floor area ratio. No final appealable decision will take place at this hearing. Neighborhood Preservation Ordinance findings, hillside design district and slope lot findings, grading findings, and vegetation removal findings will be required when the project is reviewed for project design approval, and the project was last heard on October 20th, 2025. Your names for the record.
Norbert Sonori, I'm the principal of Nari Associates.
Oh, can you make sure your microphone is on there?
Yeah, I'm the principal
There you go. Thank
of Nari Associates, the architecture firm in charge of this project.
Vegan Cachadorian, I'm the PM on this project.
Okay. Okay, so it would be very helpful whether you want to do it like the last applicant did or throughout your presentation to address the comments from the last meeting.
Yes, that's in the way that we are defining our presentation today. That's exactly with that direction. That's why we want to start first with 2 images that are reflecting the initial conceptual review that your board delivered in our first meeting. and what we are doing by revising our design and addressing your comments. The revision has two different scales of issues. One is adjusting the aesthetics of the building, but the second one, which is probably more fundamental, is responding to some of your comments, or many of your comments, of how to protect the existing trees, how to organize the access to the place, and fundamentally as well, how to deal with the neighborhood compatibility, which is one, I guess, that was one of your major issues. That's why we created a lot of images that they are showing how we interpreted that the compatibility will exist. Starting with the conceptual review, the revised design, which is what you see there, is dealing, first of all, we move the entry to the site to one you can see on the plans in order to maintain protect as much as possible the existing trees. By doing this, not only we are reducing the need to relocate the trees or replant the trees in other locations, but we are as well reducing the amount of hard pavement, which is one of the directions that we receive as a comment in this project. The second major revision that we made is to reduce the height of the building. The building had been now reduced in 2 feet height, and as well, one of your comments was how the thickness of the arches were probably not depicting the idea to be addressing the intention of this project. That was a kind of a reference to a kind of a historical reference of buildings with arches. And so you can see that now we are comparing in our elevations how we are being modifying the profile of our slabs. The other comment that you have, that was an important comment, is initially you questioned that the way that we are treating the facade, including within the arches, was probably, I don't want to say too modern, I would say not really addressing the presence of the arches. So you can see that now we modify the treatment of the facades, and by simplifying the windows following the arches of the building itself, plus adding some veneers. They are doing it with stones in both sides of the arches. The other fundamental modification that we did was associated with the presence what was initially proposed, like we call it amphitheater. I think I was maybe too ambitious to define that name. And we converted in an outdoor musical garden, which is a very simple seating space outside that you can see now in the new location. You can see the two plans. On the right side is the original plan, on the left side is the revised. By doing that, we've been able as well to keep a beautiful existing oak tree that will be the sort of the gathering center of that space, terracing down. The other important modification, we relocate the garage and the master bedroom above. By doing this, I think we addressed two issues. One, this structure is more comparable and more related to the overall design of the building. We are maintaining the arches. We are keeping a sort of a scale that you can see right there on the project. And the second one is that we reduce the driveways, and we are minimizing as well the hard pavement, like I said before. I think that this is, in these diagrams, you can see some comments that we are making regarding the different adjustment that we did. And I will go, you probably already read it, but if you see the top images is the original design. And you can see there, the other issue that I forgot to mention, we eliminate a lot of outdoor parking spaces. We reduce as well the parking areas. And by doing that as well is a way of impacting the amount of payment for the entire site. Still, we are keeping some additional parking because I think that for visitors, it will be necessary to do it. By eliminating the pool and transforming in a sort of a cascade place, I think we are intending to connect the site with the lower elevation of the site. And on the top of that pool, which is not a pool anymore, will be a sort of a jacuzzi, an outdoor entertainment space. And we reduce the stairs as well. We eliminate some of the side of stairs. They are coming down to the lower elevation. Bigan later on will mention as well what happened with the way that our landscape architect had been addressing the issue. In this process, we counted with the participation of a biologist and an arborist, so who identify the different location of the trees and where the trees that they are needing to be relocated will be relocated, and try to protect as much as we can the protected species, which are the old trees that we have on the site. So, Bigan, if you can move explaining the rest of the project.
Sure. I think we can move on to one of the critical things that happened last time was the neighborhood intervention. We heard all the voices, so we wanted to create some exhibits to show you how we address those. Well, first we can go over just quickly just to take a look at the revised architecture here. You can see there's significantly less landscaping towards the rear of the property here. So we tried to do an exhibit, a rendering, to show the context of looking from the neighboring housing, looking onto our property. So in each one of these diagrams, you can see here the address of the house, and then what direction the view is. So this is the house directly north of the property, 940 Coyote. And you can see the view is uninhibited. So it doesn't, the height of the house is not conflicting any of the views. This is a street view of the house. You can see the house is a little bit depressed from the street. This is from the south, so this would be from 935. So it's not an overwhelming view. And then we, again, like Mr. Nardi said, we're making, I'll go through the landscape drawings, but we're making an effort to try to maintain as many trees as possible. This is a big oak tree here. And these are, again, from the intersection of Coyote here. So Coyote does split. This is the main Coyote Road, and then there's a smaller branch of a road here. So these are the two views. So the house isn't overwhelming the street. I'd like to show us, these are just conceptual 3Ds. I'd like to show an overall section that we did. So this is one of the most important views that we have. So obviously we didn't have the survey of all the topography of the nearby. So what we did is we looked at the AGS maps, and we interpolated the adjacent topos to get a fairly accurate topography throughout the site. So again, these blue outlines of the neighboring sites. I know many of the tenants of these are here, so we can show them just how you can. If you're standing right at the base of this house, you're clearly seeing all the way across it. So and then also the house isn't looming over 935 below. So if we can move on to, I think I had landscape here. So we did bring on our landscape architect. He's not here today, but I'll try to.
And just through the chair to the applicant team, you'd have about 5.5 minutes remaining. Just
Sure.
letting you know. Thank you.
Thank you. So I think we should go to here. This is the best 3 diagrams. So green, everything existing. Everything is existing as tree. When we go to here, the QAs are the oaks. So these 3 trees need to be relocated. Anything red is getting removed. Anything blue is just getting kept. So if we look at this diagram here, so these 3 trees are being relocated. There's a big olive tree here, so that's not protected. We're removing that and replacing that with an oak. So when we move everything to the left, when we move the driveway over, we get all this space to allocate these trees at the entrance.
And we are keeping the oak tree in the middle of the music garden.
Yeah, this QA3, so that's going to remain, and also this big oak tree here, which was one of I believe this property's concern, to keep this big oak tree here. And those are the majority of the changes. Thank you.
Before you finish, do you want to read the minutes from the last meeting? Because you touched on them, but we didn't get to see the minutes, and we can't look at them, so I thought it might be helpful for the board to see the
talking about these?
minutes. Yep, exactly.
Okay. But we touched on these, or you want to go one by one back and forth?
Yeah, maybe.
Like the arch parties, we can go through that.
Briefly.
Sure. Where are the plans?
Maybe just stay on the page so we can
Stay on the comments?
Because you've probably addressed them. It's just going to help the board to
Yeah, we jump.
I see.
to view them all.
Sure.
Yeah, right there, maybe.
So the arches we talked about, you saw the elevations of the windows were a concern, so we made them more the party matching throughout the facades of the building. Lack of a better word, we beefed them up to make them more prominent. We also did integrations on further developing design on how you're going to get rainwater off that building. So in between each one of those big arches, there's a big reveal, and those are where our downspouts are going to be. So we're already thinking about ways to integrate the building into the systems of the site. Apparent volume, so we did reduce by 2 feet and try to orient the building to not look as beefy. It's still relatively has some mass, but it's a little more elegantly distributed.
I will, it's okay, I will make a comment about that area. By altering the access to the site, we are breaking as well the building, incorporating the flat access in the middle of the arches. So I think that if you see the elevation, that's the way that we are articulating and reducing the imposing corner when you come in from Coyote, which is another changes that we made on the design.
So 3D views, we've displayed the majority of those. Gate location. So I know there's a design comment where it needs to be 20 feet from the property line. We can go to a site plan. So there is this buffer before the street starts, and we're proposing our gate roughly here. So you are roughly already 20 feet. It was just right on the property line. So you're not going to get a queuing issue if that was the original concern. Conceptual landscape, we just discussed. Mitigation of the oak trees. Material palette, we did not go over. We do have a new material board, if I can find the plans. I'm conscious of the time. Let me hit the finish line 1 second. All right. So what we talked about last time was the building. We had a lot of metal encompassing the facades and underneath the arches, which was not cohesive, which is the word I'm using here. So it's going to be more or less more exposed concrete everywhere, and then for the facade of the building, it would be a stone veneer which is arrayed, matching the partie of the arches. All the other materials remain the same. We still have pavement, curtain walls, and aluminum reveals between the stone.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. We'll move on to public comment. And you will have up to 2 minutes to speak.
Thank you, Chair Sherry. I'll start with in-person public comment, and at this time I do have slips for public comment. First up, we'll have Mr. Olitsky. If you could please approach the podium, you will have 2 minutes to speak.
Hello, my name is Seth Olitsky. I live at 950 Coyote Road. My understanding is you had asked the architects to go up on the other side of Coyote and take some pictures. I did offer the architect and the owner of the property the chance to come up to my property and take photos from the front of my house. They never did that. So I brought photos. I probably should have brought digital. I apologize. I will pass them around. That's the view from my bedroom, my master bedroom. The orange tree is probably where their house would be. I don't know. I mean, that's the best I could. I have no idea how it'll look. Oh, that's right. I thought you had an up camera. You know, after the I'm a T-fire rebuild, and after the T-fire, we made every effort to be considerate of our neighbors. We built a 2,000 square foot house, single story, no 2 stories. I didn't want to block any of the views of the other T-fire survivors. I think this house, if you drive through the neighborhood, looks way out of place with the rest of the neighborhood. It just seems extreme. I also believe that it's a spec house, which means they're not actually going to live in it. The T-fire was 2008, so what is it now? 17 years, 17, 18 years since their house burnt down. And every time somebody builds a spec house in my neighborhood, it doesn't work out for the owners and it doesn't work out for the neighbors. And you have to remember too, and I say this to everybody, we don't live in Montecito. We live in the city. And that's it. But I did make an offer to the architect and to the owner of the property to come up and take pictures, and I never heard from them. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we'll have Mr. Ed Borsman. You will have 2 minutes to speak.
Good afternoon, board members. I'm Ed Borsma. I live at 927 Coyote, which is one of the 4 homes immediately contiguous to the property on the shared driveway to the east of the subject site. And I have some concerns about the scale and style of the building. The last year when there were discussions about the scale of the house, for this round, this submittal, it's slightly larger, which is kind of surprising. And then with regard to the style, it's a very unique architectural style. It seems to be at odds with the neighborhood. And along our shared access drive that's east of this site, some of the renderings imply that there will be screen trees along that side. When you drill down and look at the landscape plan, there are no plantings whatsoever from the end of the guest parking to the bottom of the subject site, leaving the ADU and the house beyond completely exposed, and the ADU is just 5 feet off the property line. It'd be nice if you could require a hedge similar to the type that are all over this area, including some that were planted right across the street just recently that provide great screening. And then the driveway depth to the street, from the street, was just discussed that they have just 20 feet, which is the minimum. However, this house is right on the S-turn of Coyote. It's already dangerous. And any Amazon, UPS, any of the deliveries, sure, they might be able to get in. Amazon trucks are longer than 20 feet. Their tail is going to be sticking out into the S-turn. And once they deliver their package, they now have to back up onto Coyote. Extremely dangerous. I can't believe that would be possible. There's an easy solution for that, and that's to require a little turnout so that all the delivery trucks, including the garbage truck and the mail truck, can come in outside of the traffic of Coyote. And by putting that little turnout, you will also help satisfy the required view angles, site views, when you enter and exit the site. A turnout will do that.
You're currently out of time, but if Chair Sherry wants to grant another minute or so.
How much more time do you need? Because you're out of time.
I'm fine. Thank you.
So just wrap it up. Yeah.
Okay, so style, size, screening to the adjacent neighborhood, adjacent driveway, and the entry gate distances, very unsafe. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Mr. Bill Keating.
Thank you and good afternoon. I agree with my neighbors. I appreciate their comments. And I'm immediately north of the property. So I have 3 specific objections regarding the findings of the neighborhood compatibility, echoing the comments from my neighbors. First, regarding sheet A401, the total 32-foot elevation creates a massive vertical wall that's out of scale with the surrounding houses and produces kind of a looming effect, as others have mentioned. Second, I object to the waiver of the story poles. Without a physical representation of the 32-foot height, we cannot accurately evaluate the project's impact on the neighborhood's characteristics. Just as an aside, I think the rendering that was shown from the very, very top of my house is kind of misleading. It should be taken from the grass level elevation from my house. And finally, the landscaping plan does not show the canopy of the proposed trees at maturity. So that data would allow for an assessment of the long-term impact on the privacy and solar access and those kinds of things. So I respectfully request a continuance until story poles are installed and a mature landscaping overview is provided. Thank you.
Thank you. At this time, I do not have any additional slips. If anyone wishes to make a comment, they may fill one out and bring it to me. I see no one else in the audience moving.
Yeah, you can go ahead and come on up, and you can fill out a form right after, so we have your information. So feel free to make public comment.
Yeah, I didn't
Speak into the mic,
Oh,
please.
yeah.
I didn't even think about what.
Can you state your name?
The previous. Oh, my name's Jane, and I live in 940 Coyote Road.
Thank you.
And it didn't even occur to me that's how dangerous that when the delivery truck to pretty narrow two-way street, because right now all the garbage truck and the FedEx and everything, they parked on our property because we have that fence line almost like 20 feet back. So that allowed the public, the cars and in particular the garbage truck, they're huge. They park on our property because we provide this space. So now the same thing, like when the post office, when they deliver the mail, they parked their vehicle on the road. So imagine we have this new house there, they Amazon delivery and USPS delivery, they actually parked on the other side, which do not give them any space to park. So they have to occupy one lane, which is extremely dangerous. That's it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, at that, we will turn our attention to virtual.
One moment. Yeah, we have one other person. It's hard to see past those laptops there, so. And go ahead and state your name for the record and then the address, and then I'll hit
Mary
the button.
Carmody at 955 Coyote Road, just adjacent to this property. I also have recognized the concern on that road. We are also in that curve. And I asked the city about 2 or 3 years ago to come and see if something couldn't be done. We had a dog at the time that we walked on the street, and it was dangerous. There's no sidewalk. We're right in the curve, as is this property. It is dangerous because of the trucks and the garbage and all of that. Now, another thing that we had addressed in the previous meeting was the turnaround that was adjacent to our property. I didn't get a clear picture of that on this, to make sure that that is maintained. I don't know if you remember or can recognize, but I didn't get any clear advice from that drawing that he showed, nor did I get advice on where our property line has a huge oak tree on, well, it's their property. And there was some discussion that they would try to maintain that. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who wishes to make a comment on this project? Okay, now we will turn our attention to virtual attendance. And at this time, I do not see any hands raised virtually for a comment on this project, and we did not receive any written correspondence. So at that, I will turn it back over to you, Chair Sherry.
Thank you. Okay, questions from the board. Board Member Roth.
No questions.
No questions?
Right.
Okay. Board Member, or Vice Chair Masaki.
Yeah, sure. Okay, can we go to, I think like there was a elevation sheet that you have, the previous elevation and the new revised design. Yes. Okay. One of my questions is like how much, like I can see that you have like definitely beefed up the thickness of the curves. How much has like changed? And you mentioned that the total, like the overall height has been decreased to 2 feet, yes?
2 feet.
How much has the concrete thickened up? The curves?
The curves are about they're 2 feet thick. 2
Okay.
feet thick originally is about.
Oh, if you could please turn on your microphone so we can get you in for the recording.
Sure.
Thank you.
So the originally it was a foot, so it's now 2 feet. And then, sorry, the previous comment was?
Yeah, like that was my question, but
They reduced 2 feet.
2 feet. So
Overall.
on that elevation, it's showing 23. On the bottom elevation, it's showing 19. So that's like a 4 feet. So
There's two different.
are they different elevations? Okay.
There's two different
that's why.
arches.
Okay.
So see here we have roof 1 and roof 2.
Okay.
Those are 4 feet difference, just so that it's not a continuous mass all the way across.
Can you go to an elevation that shows us where's the highest point is, like highest?
Highest point
elevation?
would be that ridge, the roof 1. So and then this is the other elevation. This is on the other, so this is facing the street, facing the entry. And then this would be where we have that, the -1 level, essentially. So here we're at 28 feet. 28 feet, and then the step where you're counting the other one is still 21. So where we increase the height is where we have the void in the topography to do so.
There is one elevation that somewhere the mass is above the 30-foot maximum building height. Can you go to that?
Let's see.
And show us on a rendering or like an axon view where that mass is.
Okay. Let's go to the elevations.
On the elevation primary west, there's a flat roof that it's above your purple dash line.
Are you talking about this back area?
Yes.
But that's beyond. So this purple where, this is the face of the building.
Okay, so the dash line for that is above that because the
above
grade
that.
changed.
Correct.
Okay.
Because
okay.
the slope is continuously steep.
Okay, thank you. Can you tell us the intention? I can see that the wing of the master bedroom and the garage has rotated to align with all the other masses. Can you tell us the intention of that? And it has changed from the curved roof to the flat roof. And what's the connection of the design? What was the thought behind it? Changing from the previous design, and if you can zoom out so everybody can see the both, like the changes.
Well, I will tell you what the initial intention was to facilitate the connection of the house when you are going to the vaulted buildings to this new addition. And the fact that that was maybe an architectural decision, not a rational explanation to say, okay, if we do have an adjacent building that is less dominant as an independent building, and still having arches, which is a kind of a connection, visual connection with existing architecture in the next, that independent, isolated building will be able to be connected with a flat bridge. You see, you have a bridge right there that because the house is providing a lift, and to move from one level to the other one is the way that we established the connection, created an interior courtyard that is with the trellises that you see connected. So the idea was almost to repeat the same concept that we have by the entrance of the house. The entrance of the house, we really have a flat roof as well. Okay, it's not the only flat roof.
Yes, I can
Yeah,
see that.
we are repeating one and we are making another, like a sort of a reiteration of the flat roof adjacent to it. But as I said before, you're architects, sometimes it's the way that you experience the forms, and maybe we felt that that was the best way to
Yes.
address the place.
And my follow-up question regarding that is that the same material, I can see that on the rendering on the sheet A072. So the same concept of the material wrapping the curves
Yes.
is wrapping the box.
Yes, the same.
Okay. Okay. I think that was all.
One of the things that I would like to add about materials, we try because
Really quickly, because we're in
Yeah.
questions now.
We can like talk about it in the comments. That was just my
Yeah,
question.
we're not doing a
Sorry,
dialogue.
sorry,
so-
sorry.
Thank
I
you
didn't
so
understand.
much. Yes. That was all my questions.
Questions?
Oh, yeah, I don't have any questions.
didn't
I
have any
I have
questions?
comments though.
Okay, some of my questions were answered by Vice Chair Mosley's questions. But I'm still trying to understand the orange material in the arches. What is that material again?
It's colored concrete. It's incorporated the color to the concrete.
It's colored concrete.
Yes.
So it's an integral color concrete in amber.
Yes, absolutely.
And that's the primary color on the exterior?
Yes.
Including the underneath side of the arches, as we're
Yes,
seeing it in the rendering?
Absolutely. I mean, that's what I was trying, when this colleague was asking the question, I was trying to say that we try to minimize, because we have an important forms here. We try to minimize the presence of different colors on the project. We try to unify that the whole project is almost a very subtle differences of colors. And so the dominant color is the orange that is associated with the concrete. And then even if you see the material that we use as a veneer are very close in colors as well. It's not a major contrast in colors in between the facades.
I understand, thank you. Let's see, your reduction in parking, guest parking, that's not in the front yard setback, correct?
There's no cars in the front yard setback.
There's no cars in the setback, right?
There were previously.
Yeah, Chair Sherry, so this project, it's only had one I believe, only one application completeness review cycle, and the applicant chose to have another conceptual hearing just because of the unique design. The plans that we're looking at now have not yet been plan checked. So the applicant knows that they'll have to come back if they're requesting any modifications or changes to the landscape plans. So if you do see any zoning issues where the board would provide comments, we are not currently at that stage yet.
So the applicant chose to do 2 concept reviews over a period of several months,
Correct.
a couple months, without any plan check.
Correct.
Because they were concerned about the style that they were proposing?
Correct.
So you had questions about the style that you were proposing?
Correct.
Okay. So my question is, what were your questions? What questions did you have about the style that made you want to come to 2 concept reviews without getting a plan check? Why did you think
Well,
there might be concern?
We are not shooting ourselves that we question our style. What we are trying to do is to understanding what you questioned before. That was associated, number 1, with the landscape, the protection of the trees, and 2, how we were essentially being neighborhood compatible, that I think we took it very seriously, regardless of the comment of the neighbors. We decided to go to a second iteration of this preliminary review, we call design review, to be sure that because we presume that we are understanding what will be next to reach the level of completion, to feel more comfortable and keep going in this project to the next phase, which is in the moment that the project is considered complete.
Okay.
Because,
So
we understand it's
is,
different.
so my question is, then just to conclude that line of questioning is, can you explain to everyone how you are compatible and how you believe that that this project can meet the compatibility findings as set forth in the Neighborhood Preservation Ordinance?
Well, if the compatibility is associated with the architectural style, the whole neighborhood is not compatible by itself. You don't have a defined style. You are not working on the missions around the mission of Santa Monica, of Santa Barbara. So in reality, the compatibility in our case was more associated with the comment that some of the neighbors mentioned today, is that we are blocking with our building the view, we are creating conflicts of visual connection in between their properties and what we are proposing. This is not associated with architectural style. It's associated with location, with site.
But that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about compatibility, architectural compatibility. So you obviously had some concerns, which is why you're coming to 2 concept reviews without a plan check.
Mm-hmm.
So you had concerns about compatibility. That's what you said. So what concerns did you have?
Well, the concern was more about the site organization, was not about the style of architecture.
So that's more mass bulk scale and siding and not compatibility.
That's right.
So what about compatibility did you feel?
Well, it was about massing. It was about, which is one of the compatibilities. That's why we reduced the size of the building.
Okay.
It was materials, correct, materials. When you objected the use of material that they were not very compatible with the style of the building. So I think that was the big 2 issues that we addressed.
And then my one last question, the oak tree that the neighbor at 955 Coyote Road said that they were concerned about. Can you point that oak tree out?
That, I could not locate that. We were trying to find that.
I didn't see it on your existing oak tree layout.
So that house is north over here.
Yeah.
So I don't know where that specifically is, but let me look at the aerial.
Yeah, aerial.
It's one of these.
Okay.
North is left. So I'm not entirely sure. That's not on our property.
And then there was a comment about screening from the neighbors, and if you could go back to your landscape plan and talk about the screening that's proposed, not the trees, the screening specifically.
The east side? You talking about here?
Primarily, yeah, but kind of
Okay.
everywhere.
I mean, we hear that. I believe our landscape architect had a lot of comments of what vegetation you could put near the house because of the fire zone.
Right. It was a comment from the last meeting, so I'm just trying to figure out how you addressed it, the comment.
Well, right now, there's no vegetation other than we're going to propose hedges there. So you.
So what is the hedge? And where is it on the landscape?
It's not
plan?
on here.
So you didn't address the comment? Okay, no, I know, but it was a comment. It was part of our motion, so.
So I believe there was a height, you can't go above 3 feet or something? You can't go above 3 feet if that hedge is within 10 feet of the house?
I'm
So,
just talking
and
about
that's-
screening of the architecture from the neighbors.
Well, but that's what we sunk the ADU. If you take a look at the ADU, it's really depressed in relationship.
Do you have a rendering of that, a view, a perspective view of that?
Perspective view we do, but it's not representing the,
I'm just asking the question for the benefit of the neighbors because
Sure.
it was specifically regarding screening,
let me-
because of the compatibility issue.
So here, I mean, we have fencing proposed here. This is directly that side.
Mhm.
And then, but we don't have like vegetation to hide the building because you can't go that high because of the fire.
Yeah, but you could go in, you can put vegetation not in the area that is a 3.5-foot maximum height. You can add vegetation inside, yeah, outside of that area.
But we're so close to the property line, you're about 5 feet. So if you're gonna put all you can do is you can put either a fence or a hedge. And you just build the face
What's the
side of the
setback
building.
of the building on
Setback
that?
it's the ADU, so it's 5 feet.
So it's 5 feet, okay.
So
Okay.
if we can propose something, we can propose vines or
It's
something.
okay, that answers my question, thank you.
When we're talking about landscape architect, he was very adamant to say the fire conditions are such that we absolutely dissuade you to incorporate any kind of vegetation in that border.
Okay,
Because my
that answers
initial
my
design
question.
was vegetation
Okay,
there.
thank you. Okay, comments from the board?
I haven't asked questions yet.
Oh, sorry.
No problem.
My goodness, totally forgot about you.
A lot of them were answered, but I think I'll focus more on, well, I want to focus on landscaping and materials. Again, going back, so the tree, I really want to get an understanding. The tree that the neighbor brought up in public comment, and maybe the neighbor could point it out on the aerial view, because it looks like there's a cluster of trees maybe on the border of the property line, but it sounds like there's one in particular, and it definitely should be mapped in the survey.
I think I can point it out if I see the right, okay.
Oh, if you're going to be making comment, would you mind coming up to the podium, speaking to the microphone, so we can just get you recorded in here? Thank you.
Yeah, my name is John Peterson, 955 Coyote Road. And looking at it now.
Are you the house with the blue
Yes, that
roof?
is correct. Now, my finger's not long enough to point, so it's a little
I understand.
I know you need a pointer.
Do you have a stick? Or, okay,
No.
now, keep going to the right. Okay, down a little bit towards me, now to the right some more. There, that's the tree. That is,
Okay.
it's a large oak tree. It's
Okay.
very
But it's not in
obvious
our
from our house.
protective
It looks like it's right to the west of the two-story volume that is on the western two-story volume.
That's a tree being removed if that's on our property. 'Cause there's two.
That was his question, and
Yeah,
that was our
that is
question. You're
on-
removing that tree.
945 property. And I'm wondering if it's going to be removed or it stays.
We
We're hoping it would
understand the
stay.
question.
I'm
Thank
trying
you.
to understand, that now. Okay.
I believe you're talking about this big one, QA4.
That's probably correct.
Those are right in the middle of our property, so we have to remove it because that's where the house is.
Pardon the interruption, but the site plan, the floor area for this home is on the flattest part of the lot. And I believe that tree, if you go back to that satellite imagery on 3 plans, so you can see right there where the kind of driveway dirt area is. And further north in that corner, that's kind of like the flattest part of the lot, and that's where they're constructing, yeah. But in that kind of tight area, it's my understanding that those 3 trees looking down to the south are outside of the building footprint, if I understand the scale correctly. But I may
It looks
be,
that way to me, too.
yeah, it may be.
It looks like they're not mapped.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, it doesn't, I believe what's mapped on the applicant's plans are showing just the footprint of the building on the lot and not the entire lot with all the trees on there, so.
Does that answer your question?
Kind of, because it looked like there was a lot more vegetation here than is on the
The
plan.
mapping
So
of the trees is only the mapping of the trees that are being affected. It's not an inventory of all the trees on the
okay,
list.
so do you have a survey of all the trees that are on the lot?
We have an
We have
arborist.
the arborist list, but
I-
I don't believe we have every tree on the.
Okay.
Yeah, I
The
don't
site
believe
is
they
ridiculously large.
Okay, so I think maybe that we'll cover that in
Okay.
comments. And then how large, for the trees that you are removing, how large are those trees? Or not removing, attempting to transplant? Yeah, how large are those trees, like the
Well,
diameter and
that
the
was
height?
one of my questions to the landscape architect. And
Okay.
he showed us
Yeah,
how they can move. You know, I have some experience because when we designed those lagos in Corona,
Oh,
we moved-
pardon the interruption.
we
Could you
moved
speak into
24
the microphone?
We moved 24 oak trees.
okay.
So when you move 24 oak trees, you learn what is the challenge of
Okay,
moving
so
oak trees.
I'm
It is
looking-
possible. He
Right.
showed us how to do it.
Actually, let's just stick with the
The question, I'm just curious what the diameter is and what the height is.
QA4 and QA5
Okay,
Yeah,
great.
that's
So-
the relocated.
and a 10-foot height.
Okay, wow.
So spread the canopy 35 and spread here is 10.
Okay, no okay, that's fine.
Probably have the diameter in the
Okay.
arborist list.
Okay.
So we can provide that.
Okay, just curious, what happens if you transplant a tree and it doesn't survive?
Well, once landscape plans are approved and the trees are approved to be maintained, it's the applicant's responsibility to maintain that planting plan.
Okay.
And it stays with the property indefinitely until there's a new single-family design approval. So
Okay.
if the tree falls or is removed, they would need to have some kind of permit and review for us to make sure that it gets replanted or replaced
Okay.
with something like for like.
Okay.
And maybe in front of this board for something like that again.
Okay, and then there's an oak tree that's proposed to be transplanted where a current olive is. Is there, or at least, maybe I misheard, but my understanding, is there a reason why you wouldn't find a different home for that? I don't know what the state of the olive is or if you have any photos, but,
We can definitely look into transplanting it.
Okay.
Also trying to maintain it. 'Cause
I don't know
it's-
how large the olive is because typically we
So
encourage
this
maintain.
OE1 is, again, is 15 feet tall.
She's not asking about, she's
Oh, it
asking
is
why
15.
she's
Oh,
asking
wow,
why
okay.
you're proposing to
Yeah.
transplant a tree in a location where there's an existing tree.
Well, that tree's being removed.
She's
The
asking
olive tree.
why you're choosing to relocate a tree in a location where there's an existing tree and why you're taking that tree out and moving that tree.
So the existing olive tree is in the way of the driveway that we're proposing.
But you're planting a tree in that location.
It's further
Oh,
away. It's not
okay.
at the same
Does that
spot.
answer your
Okay,
question?
and then are you mitigating the olive tree that you're removing somewhere else?
So right now it's proposed to be removed.
Okay,
We can always talk to the
Okay.
landscape architect to put it somewhere else. It's no
Okay.
problem.
okay. And then in terms of materials, can you go back to the material board again?
Sure.
Okay. My question is, because the color in the rendering is a little more reddish than the color in the material board, maybe
Uh-huh.
it's just is the intention more of the reddish direction in the rendering or in the material board where it's almost more gold?
Well, I think the intention is, as I said before, is to match, to integrate the materials, even that we have concrete versus stone, is to try to be almost in harmony with each other instead of being contrasting.
Okay. And then, but it did change from the last, it did, the color, concrete, the shade of the color changed from the last iteration. I'm curious why.
I think we have a comparison somewhere.
Well, it became a little more intense, yes.
Right.
And part of the reason is when we eliminated the metal or the other contemporary gestures that the board object, and we agree with the objection was appropriate.
Okay.
We believe that the presence of those bolts have to be a little more dominant than they used to be. They were a little pale, and that's why we increased the color.
Okay.
And by doing that, we are able to incorporate the stone in a little lighter color, but still very close in the palette of both. So, like I said before, it was a sort of an architectural design decision, but it could be modified.
Understood. And then my last, sorry, a lot. I know we're still at concept. I'm curious later on the slope on the south-facing side of the home, so not towards Coyote Road, but away, can you remind me what kind of vegetation is there? And again, maybe we can go back to the aerial view. Let's see.
We did have I don't know where it is, we did have a drone.
Okay. It looks like there's a lot of little trees and shrubs, and is the desire to maintain that?
We'll have to look at here. So we can maintain it, but the main goal is to try to keep the slope like integrated to the bottom of the pavers on the bottom level.
Okay.
So try to make it as level as possible.
Okay.
And reduce the amount of earthwork changes.
Yeah.
That doesn't make sense to me. Can you, just don't understand. You said you want to maintain the slope, the vegetation on the slope below the house, but then you said something about level.
No, what do you mean level now?
Hold on.
Show
You
the
can go
section.
to, like, what I meant is like, try to level out the, or what we try to do is try to match where the pavement level is to where the earthwork level is, the existing earthwork. So this would be more or less at the same level. Now whether there's like a little bit of shrubs there or not, those are negligible at this point, if you're gonna remove them or keep them.
I would like to, excuse me, I think I don't want to be confused that we make a clear statement, what is the design behind it. One of the reasons why I eliminated the pool, we create this sort of stepping down cascade. It was not just because we like the cascade, it's because the intention that Vika referred to it, it made the house
We
almost
understand. We got that
to
part.
deliver to the
We
bottom.
understand. Thank you. We can't get into a dialogue again. I'm sorry, 'cause
sorry.
we're just
I
getting
thought-
late. Thank you, though. I think that answers my question based on your question. Do you have any more questions?
No, let's go
Okay.
into comments.
All right, let's go to comments. You want to start?
Sure. I don't know if I have everything organized, so apologies. Let me think through this.
We don't have to start with you.
Got to start somewhere, I guess. Okay, so I would definitely like to, just going back to landscaping, I would definitely like to have a full plan with all of the trees mapped in Santa Barbara, especially oak trees and any sort of native specimen tree are very protected and are important. I think as well, as we're talking about public views, and absolutely the views from Coyote Road and from the neighbors are important. I'd also like to have a better understanding, and that's why I was asking some of the context about the vegetation on the slope behind. As you look up towards the hill, you know, in its current design of mass, bulk, and scale, how is the house look up at the mountain? So are there oaks below that are kind of covering it, or is it above all of that. It sounds like the intention might be for there not to be as much planting close to the property or close to the structure. But I'd like to kind of understand, again, looking up how that fits in. Let's see. This is obviously a very unique project, so that you don't need me to tell you that. I think as I consider architecture and finding compatibility and knowing that a lot of neighborhoods in Santa Barbara have a lot of variety in design, and one thing for us is picking a style and having it be consistent. I feel like there is a lot of consistency in the style that you've created. But in terms of compatibility, I think we're very open to having something new and interesting, and obviously this is definitely that. There's not a lot of style of homes like that in Santa Barbara, if any. But I think there are other ways you can make it compatible with maybe a color selection or material. When you mentioned stone veneer, I don't know why in my mind I was thinking sandstone or something like that. I think going this darker reddish color, you already have this very unique architectural design that you wouldn't necessarily see in this neighborhood. And then you're picking a color, and the colored concrete with the marble are also materials that you wouldn't necessarily see in Santa Barbara. So I think it would be nice to find a way, if you're going to depart in the architecture, how can you bring some more of the palette and material into the design that you have? I think it's great that you're protecting and replanting oak trees, because again, I think the landscape in some of the landscape plan with natives and with some of the succulents and things like that, very Santa Barbara. But figuring out how to incorporate those elements when the architecture has departed. I'm glad you reduced the 2 feet height, or you reduced the height 2 feet. 19 feet is still tall for a single story. So I don't know if we didn't ask for this last time, but want to understand, again, better context for the neighborhood and heights. I know there's 2 stories though already, so it seems crazy for a 1-story, but it isn't a 2-story. I don't think it's helpful in the renderings. There's so many people. I think it makes it look more commercial because of all the people in the renderings in the amphitheater. It's hard to get back to this is a residential property. Just a side note. Nothing to change on the design on that.
But it's a good side note. You're right.
I'll pause there, and if I have anything else I can add on later.
Thank you. Board member or Vice Chair Mosley.
Yeah,
I gotta
sure.
get used to saying that.
Yeah, sure. Can we have the A072 while I comment about massing? It's one of your renderings, A072. So in general, I'll start with the massing. And first thing, the compatibility of the neighborhood. We all understand that it's like a very unique project. And the argument you had was that this neighborhood have like a lot of like other styles, and it's not like dedicated to one style. So that's like how you define that to the neighbors and everybody. And we're not very like focused on one style. And if it's integrated with the site and the neighborhood, the landscaping, the coverage, and if it feels consistent, I think we're not like into like a style that we will tell you that what style to design. So that's like the part of that. And I think like it will be, because I think there's another round that you'll come back, and it's going to be, again, I think concept review, or I don't know if they're coming back for PDA. But if you want to study bring a study that's like, pick a couple of other projects in the neighborhood that are unique to the neighborhood, and they are a part of the neighborhood, and the neighborhood is defined like that. And that will like protect the idea behind being unique here. That is one solution that I can think of. The other thing is like changing the mass of the master bedroom and the garage. Rotating it, I think it feels more cohesive. Previously, it was a wing that was like rotated in an angle, and now that it's like on the site plan, when we look at it, I think it's more cohesive. But I think still the roof with a solid, completely solid roof with the same material of the curved concrete, it's not resolved, I think, architecturally. If you look at other flat roofs that you always have like openings in them. You have like some other touches in them. They're like skylights, or there are other components that break up the flat roof. And this one is the whole solid roof. And I think that's like where it's like when you look at the street above, when you're coming from Coyote, it's like a huge square flat roof with the solid material. And I think when we're looking from south, from this rendering, it might be nice from the garden of your property, but not a nice view for the neighboring from Coyote. So I think the box massing, especially the roof, needs more studying. The other thing about massing that I'm thinking, and it is connected to the materials as well, is that there are a lot of patterns, additional patterns to the strong curves that are going. A couple of things that I can point out here is, for example, the windows. They have like a triangle pattern on the above the upper fixed windows and transom windows. And if you look at, there was another view from the street view that shows, if you go to A081, so if you zoom on the right side, there is this triangular, so it's like another new pattern introduced to the project, which it's making it more complex. And if you scroll to the left, there is that pattern at the end of the site, which I don't know if it's the gray grid, yeah. So there's multiple patterns that are going, and in some of the renderings, all the fences around the site are horizontal. On that rendering that you had, the ADU, it was becoming vertical. So there's so many patterns that are going throughout the massing that it's making it less grounded to the topography, and it's making it more busy. So that's like, I think we can talk about the materiality as well related to that. So about the materials, I think like I would like to see real materials, because the renderings are not that like high quality that we can visualize, like imagine that. To me, that amber color is really gold, and the renderings looks like a red brick to me. And the stone veneer that you guys have from the material palette, it looks very shiny to me, and I'm not sure it is in reality. So if we can have the amber, like a piece of the concrete amber, or my recommendation, I would like this to be muted color a little bit. It looks very gold, and I think like that will make the, from the public view, that's like, it will not help it to blur in the topography and the landscape, but we're happy to look at the materials that you have, and we can discuss further to change the colors. And in general, I'm not going to speak about details of landscape. I think Board Member Graffiti mentioned a lot, but in general, to me, aesthetic-wise, I think the ratio of the massing comparing to the proposed landscape and the way that the project is covered throughout the property line, it's just the massing is so much more than the landscape. And usually in Santa Barbara, a lot of projects we are covering especially the projects that are more internal and they're like unique design, they're blurred into the landscape, and that is one of the solutions. And I totally understand the fire cautiousness. So like, if we can see more smart ideas of reducing the mass, adding more landscaping, that will be really helpful for the public views, so that the project is more grounded in the environment here. I think that was all my comments.
Thank you. Board Member Rolfe.
Oh, yeah. So I appreciate your bold forms, and I appreciate that you brought the height down 2 feet and that the windows go with the shape of the architecture better. I do agree with Mosley about the triangular, or the transom. I think if somehow, yeah, it is kind of another pattern that's brought in that maybe you want to have it be cohesive with other patterns. I like the thickened profile of the arches. One thing to note is the staircase in the middle, or in the exterior staircase in the back. To me, it appears bulky. I was thinking that maybe you could tie it into, I saw that the terracing pool, I think there's one view where it's like head on, so you could see it, there's like a gap, and I think it could be tied into that terracing pool a little bit more. Like, it's a minor detail, but so, and then kind of going off of what Board Member Mosley was saying, the architecture of the garage and the primary bedroom, I think, well, it just feels disconnected from the rest of the architecture because just because it has a flat roof. I know you have like flat parts, but just because it's like a bedroom and has it's enclosing, a lot of program. To me, I think it would look better with the arch roofs. Let's see, and then also it'd be great if you could address the space issue for the delivery trucks. And then another thing I was thinking about, which Board Member Mosley was talking about too, is just the color of the residence. I was looking, when I was driving around, I can't remember correctly, but I thought it was more like cream colors, but maybe you could study what's around there, or like she was saying, just a more muted color. So, and I'm assuming you chose that color because it's kind of complements the soil. So I could see why you did that. I think that's all I have. So thank you.
Thank you.
So I think the comments that have been made so far are all really good. I agree with a lot of them. And I'm just going to this is a kind of a complicated project, especially with regards to compatibility, which is why we've spent so much time talking about it. And just to summarize, I think what I'm hearing from everybody, and I also would have commented on, is that there really isn't any compatibility, is what we're seeing.
It's hard to.
And we're all trying to find compatibility findings, but we have to make compatibility findings. We have to say that you're using natural materials that blend in with the environment. We have to state that when we make our NPO findings, and we also have to make findings about the siding and the grading and the mass, bulk, and scale and how it blends into the hill. And I'm seeing, if you go to the one rendering on page A072,
73.
073, is a good one to kind of land on for the moment, is one of the, and I commented on this in the first meeting, and I'm going to say it again, there's a thing that we call apparent mass, and it's stepping the massing down the hill, and this project has not only a two-story mass stacked, but it's a two-story mass above another story, all stacked. So it's essentially a three-story volume. Because if you look at the people that are a really good indicator of how high it is, the arch is almost a story in and of itself, the top transom, because it's a full arch. Then below that is a very high plate until it gets to the spring line of the arch. Then below that, there's another floor, and it's all in line, and that's not helping you with your apparent massing. It's not stepping down the hill. It means that it's going to be seen for miles. And what I think that you've attempted to do in terracing this water feature, it's become, you know, a 12-foot high solid wall of water. Terracing helps. I don't know how high it is, but it's very high. And terracing helps when you're trying to step a building back, but then when all three levels, vertical levels, are the same material from anywhere other than looking at it from the side, it looks like one wall. The same thing's happening to the left of that, the left of the stairwell. It's essentially a 3-story vertically stacked wall, almost. It's 2.5 stories. Because the roof is an arch and it doesn't step back like a hip roof would be, more in keeping with, you know, an attempt to lower the apparent height. It's been mentioned, but I'll mention it again, that the element on the west, the 2-story element, doesn't appear to be in keeping with your design partie at all, and it's, I think, diminishing the strength of what you're trying to achieve with your strong arched masses to the east of that. So I don't think that's helping. It also was discussed, and I'm just kind of summarizing, that the color is not natural and doesn't blend in with the natural environment. And I think that I can speak for the rest of the board in saying that we all felt that the natural, like a natural concrete or a natural more muted tone or like this does not look natural at all. And that's also not helping. It's exacerbating the mass, bulk, and scale. The apparent mass is exacerbating it. The color's exacerbating it. It doesn't look like a house. It looks like a commercial building that was discussed. The scale of the whole thing is just, it's just too big. And I think that if we sugarcoat it too much, then we're doing you a disservice to come back with another version without having even gone through a formal plan check. And I would suggest that you don't come back without a formal plan check to check the heights.
I agree.
And so I'm trying to give you some kind of harsh constructive criticism so that we don't waste any of your time, because we've got to make compatibility findings, mass, bulk, and scale, apparent mass, colors and materials, and also it was spoken about the landscaping, a landscape plan that addresses all the trees on the entire site, what's being kept, how are we screening. You just completely didn't address that comment that was made in the last meeting, so it just kind of got bypassed about there's no screening on this one side of the building, and that's not helping either your compatibility. Let me make sure I caught everybody's comments. The patterns and proportions are changing. Even your proportion of your arch is turning into more of a flattened, larger, like wider volume. So the arch is, when it changes on the front side of the house from one proportion, arch to a wider, flatter arch with a different pattern in it, it makes it look less cohesive as a design. Like I said before, a design partie. I would really consider how you're illustrating and presenting and portraying this design, and look at ways to strengthen that design instead of doing a bunch of different things. The window breakups there's 3 different kinds of window breakups. There's even one arch that doesn't have any window breakups at all. So all of that is kind of not helping you. And I think those are my comments. So I guess I would just try to summarize. Does anybody else want to take a stab at summarizing this? Okay, so let me try to put all this into a motion. It would be a motion for an indefinite continuance back to the full board with the following comments, that the applicant should study the mass, bulk, and scale as it relates to apparent mass and proportion, and the second comment would be to provide a natural material palette that is in that more blends in with the natural environment. And provide screening of the proposed development and a full landscape plan that documents all of the trees on the property, including the ones to be removed, relocated, or new. And a full landscape plan showing all of the screening. You can add that to that same comment. The board does not suggest coming back for another review until planning department has conducted a full plan check of this application. The board finds that the west element with the flat roof is undermining the design concept, and overall, the board suggests looking at all of the design elements of the entire project, and is looking for a cohesive design concept and a unified design, including roofs, materiality, windows and doors, and detailing and scale. I already talked about the apparent mass, so the scaling, that would be scaling. And I think that, you know, maybe it's premature, but I think that it depends on what you're going to come back with, but I think that story poles are, I don't know if I would want to mention story poles, because right now I think we're still in concept, so I think it's premature, but I'll just say for the record that not a part of this motion that story poles are likely going to be required, but we won't put that in the motion. So that's my motion. Do we have a seconder before we go into discussion to potentially add anything to my motion?
I would just like to, for the material palette, I forgot to ask for the color of the windows. It looks gold to me, so if we can have that palette or better renders that clarify that.
Yeah, that's just,
Yes.
that's just for the applicant. But I think we already mentioned to have a material board that's includes all the doors and windows and all the materials.
The only other thing I'd consider to add is, and again, this is a guideline FAR, not required.
I think we should do
but-
a second and then
This was
something
more
later.
a discussion, it was just.
Right, so we need a
Okay.
seconder, and then we can go into discussion.
Oh, I'm happy to second the motion. Up for discussion, if we want to include anything as we talk about size, bulk, and scale, you know, sometimes we ask for studies of 20 closest homes. I don't know if something like that would be helpful for us, because there's so many things from scale to palette to compatibility if we would find that helpful or not, but I just wanted to bring that up as not necessarily an alternative to story polls, but another material that may be helpful for the next meeting.
How would that, what would be the wording of the 20 closest homes? Like, what would be the direction that you would suggest? Because I'm not, there's nothing like this out there, so I'm not sure. This is an FAR guideline.
Yeah.
And it's 100%, it's not over 100%.
But it's more, I mean, that number is always to help us understand size, bulk, and scale. It's not, and especially in guideline, it's not 100 or 85 or whatever. It's how does it fit in? So I think for 20 closest homes, two things. One would be, size, bulk, and scale of other homes in the neighborhood. What are the heights on those? What is the FAR? How do they present? Are there bulkier looming homes, or are they stepped back second stories, and that's just consistent all the way through? And then for, in terms of architectural style, understanding, how many houses are, white plaster Spanish style versus just like a variance. I think I'm more familiar, and I've driven the street before, but I'm just speaking just generally for the board as we're kind of trying to digest the architectural style and how that would fit in. We know that there's not another house like this, but just what are all that, like, what are the colors of the other houses in the neighborhood? What are the styles? So
then why don't we say provide or study and provide information about the surrounding neighborhood and the surrounding homes, including sizes, a visual, photograph, and how do you want to word that?
I mean, I think
provide information about the other surrounding homes in the neighborhood.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the specifics, FAR, possibly heights, and just a visual photo, a photo context of.
A photo context of other surrounding homes in the neighborhood that would assist the board in making the compatibility finding.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Can I get a?
I will accept
second.
those modifications, yes.
What?
As a seconder, I will accept the modification to the motion.
Okay. Did you get that, Joni? Okay, great.
Okay.
Okay, we will now take a vote. Vice Chair Moslehy,
Yes.
Board Member Rolfe,
Yes.
Board Member Gaffitti,
Yes.
Chair Sherry.
Yes.
Motion passes.
All right, thank you. And
When you ask me, and before I go, why we are here today, you gave us the answer. We do know, and I invite you to visit my architectural practice. Unfortunately, maybe for Santa Barbara, I've been always.
Actually, we're
No, only one
gonna
second, because
adjourn.
I need to say that, sorry. 1 second only. I appreciated your comments. We are going to take a serious look to this project. We've been taking a serious look and see to understand your concerns. I think that I do understand 90% of them, which is already good. Thank you.
And that adjourns, with that, I will adjourn the full board meeting for January 12th. Have a nice evening, everyone.
Thank you.
all right, thank you all.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you.